The subject of the last retreat was to go deeper into realization of pure consciousness, and then integration and unification with the primary me. And since I will be speaking about pure consciousness quite a bit here, please, it is preferable that you sit with eyes open. Falling back in your headspace, embodying in the universal consciousness. So it is okay to establish pure me of consciousness at the back of the head, but it is preferable to surrender deeper, to pass the portal to the universal I am. There are several reasons for that. Unity with universal consciousness, experienced in this way, allows the correct realization of pure me, which absorbs that universal qualities of that universal consciousness. And pure me is, to a large extent, made from universal energy. It is an identity of transcendence. The second reason for the need to surrender behind the headspace is that through the deeper absorption, we have more empowerment to transform our relationship with the primary me. You need to be really, really far in that absorption in order to relate correctly to the primary me. So this is what I would like you to do, to go behind the head. There are several steps of absorption, 3 or 4, but that is not really the most important point here. You simply need to make sure that you are absorbed as deeply as possible, that you become motionless in that absorption, that universal I am is holding you in place, anchoring your identity in the beyond. And the deeper you surrender, the more you change, in this case, on the level of pure me. Initially, pure me is closer somehow to that sense of presence that we are used to having. Such as I am present, I am me. But as you reach deeper absorption, you become more transparent, more etheric, more pure, more universal. And it's very important that in that transformation, that you are in touch with it, that you are meeting your transformation, you are meeting that which you are becoming through that surrender, because you are changing. Awakening of pure me is not simply a singular realization. Either you are awakened to it or not. It is also evolution of pure me. Pure me is evolving into what it is ultimately meant to become. Something more, the most pure, something so profound, something that, even though is still linked to our individuality, obviously, but is not experiencing any separation or even sense of distinction from universal consciousness. In fact, in correct realization of pure me, sometimes you are not sure whether it is pure me, whether it is universal consciousness, or universal subjectivity. Because that identity becomes so deep, so translucent, so angelic, that it disappears into the beyond, or infuses itself rather with the beyond. You really need to meet that pure me. Someone can say, oh, I am at the back of my head, or even behind my head. I experience this horizontal depth. Well, that's very good. But who are you? Who is there? More important than where you are is who you are. So who am I? What is this pure me? Not as a concept. Concepts are important to somehow explain things in our minds, but they make sense only if you really feel what is behind these concepts. What is this pure me? Pure me is just a name. But name of what? Of who? You have never been pure me. It came to you in this life unexpectedly. But you have always been that sense of me in the front of your head, which is very specific and quite different. And now you are becoming something else. But who? Sometimes people do have unexpected shift into pure consciousness, even though it's usually experienced in an imperfect manner, because they're not working on it consciously, and they don't know what they are doing. But it's possible they shift in such state, and then they say, there's no more me, or there's just emptiness, or there's just universal self, because they don't know who they have become. They don't know who they are. So because their regular sense of self is completely spaced out, they have no sense of orientation in that new space, and the relationship with that space is very poor. That's why it's so important that you understand who you are, who you have become. Because this is your soul, you see. This is your soul. This is the part of you which is eternal. This is the essence of your eternal self. It's not just me. It is me that has become infused with the universal consciousness. That's why it is the soul. When you look at the world from this place, from that new me, who are you? Who is looking through your eyes? It is that one. It is that one that is looking through your eyes. And you need to truly meet yourself as that new, deeper identity. Awakening of pure consciousness is the most fundamental, the most important realization in the human body. Rare, certainly, but possible. Possible for you, with all the help and guidance. And many of you have already awakened to this dimension of yourself. But the question remains, have you awakened fully? Have you perfected that realization? Have you really understood this realization? And have you truly understood who you have become? The next step, I am doing, the summary of the last retreat a bit in this live stream, so we need to move on. The next step is defocusing oneself from the horizontal surrender through simple act of relaxation and letting go in your head. Even if you relax physically, let go physically in your head, this will also produce the same result. And the result is pure me moves to the middle of your head, which is its most natural place to exist. Because this is where the innate me is, the center of our emotional self with which we are born in amygdala. The innate me and pure me are the same. Pure me is the innate me awakened. Because it is innate me, part of the realization of pure me of consciousness allows us actually to access our deepest emotional sensitivity. Because pure me feels. It is able to experience the highest frequency of feeling, including the universal one. And as it deepens itself, it is able to access the energy of the divine, the feeling of the divine. When pure me relaxes and it enters naturally the head space, it expands into the whole head space. So everything, it occupies everything which is located behind the frontal lobe. It's one space, it's all pure me. And then it needs to rest, letting go deeper vertically. It needs to, so to speak, sit down in the headspace so that it is grounded. Initially, pure me was surrendering towards universal I am, and then the surrender is towards the absolute. So it's evolving now in relationship to another dimension of the beyond, the absolute. Somehow, pure me eventually exists at the cross, at the meeting point between universal I am and absolute. It becomes truly the child of the beyond. The next subject is primary me, the sense of identity in your eyes, the thinker and the seer, and that part of you which is the center of your personality and that has always existed through the external reality, through connections to the external reality. It is the primary me, its intelligence that brought you to the path. And even that intelligence that has been transmitted to your pure me is from the primary me. Similar as pure attention is from primary attention. But even though primary me initiated your spiritual journey, it's not in contradiction that it keeps resisting its own transformation. Because it lives so much in the past. And it's so much trying to control our reality. Wanting to be the main center, wanting to be the master of our consciousness, partially out of fear of losing control, not just in itself, but the kind of a control that is needed in order to assure our survival in the world. There's a lot of psychological fears in the unconscious of the primary me that prevent it from surrender. Does not want to surrender, that one. Before primary me can be transformed, the first step is very important. It has to be correctly recognized. And this recognition has to happen from pure consciousness. So here is something very, very important to understand. It is not primary me that is self-recognizing through what I called before self-attention. You know, when one is completely unconscious and eventually awakens to primary me, so that is done by self-attention, meaning that primary me is recognizing himself. But self-attention is very limited. It's necessary at the beginning, but eventually has to be transcended. Because as long as primary me is using self-attention or self-awareness to recognize, he will be separated, keep separating himself, creating a distinct center from pure consciousness. So no, this is not the way. Primary me has to be recognized by pure consciousness through pure attention. So first pure attention goes from primary attention to pure consciousness, but then it goes back, creating that second recognition, that second level of recognition from that center which has been established by pure attention, which is pure me, to primary me. So in practical terms, what it means is that when you are in pure consciousness and you become aware of the primary me, you should feel fully, clearly, that it is pure me which is recognizing it. Meaning you should feel that you, as pure me, are recognizing primary me. So primary me moves to the secondary position in recognition, and the weight of identity fully shifts to pure consciousness. Unless you accomplish this, you will be struggling in that practice and unable to complete it. Very important. Weight of identity fully in pure consciousness. Primary me is recognized through pure attention from pure consciousness by pure consciousness. And this is the first level of transformation of the primary me. So it's not like, psychological transformation necessarily, that me as primary me, I am willing to surrender, I am willing to be less controlling, more gentle, more feminine, so that I can transform and eventually be aligned with pure consciousness. No. It is the change in recognition which is transforming primary me. Of course, primary me has to agree for this. That kind of a surrender is necessary. I agree not to be that main center in consciousness, the controlling center, or rather, I agree not to be the main center of responsible for recognition. Rather, I let myself be recognized by pure me. It's actually quite beautiful if you think of it. I, as primary me, allow myself to be recognized by pure me. And this immediately brings a tremendous amount of relief to primary me. Because primary me is suffering, it's too intense. It is not a comfortable center or in consciousness at all at the beginning. It's living in stress in a way all the time. It's suffering. So to relieve the suffering, primary me has to agree to be recognized by pure me. And that changes how primary me feels, because pure attention is so gentle, so sweet. And when it enters, illuminates primary me, you see, primary me has a natural recognition of itself because, this is where we have awareness in the eyes. From the very beginning, there is recognition there. That recognition commonly refers to, of course, to the recognition of the external things, but there is also certain inherent, intrinsic sense of self in primary me that everybody has. So that center was not designed to be conscious, for from the in the world that we are living. You don't have to be conscious to survive in primary me. So primary me does not really know how to be conscious. That's why nobody is conscious of primary me or in primary me, because they just don't know how, or they don't even know what for. But that's beside the point. But it has to become conscious because for if we wish to evolve, because you cannot reach, for instance, pure consciousness if primary me is completely out of it. It has to have some presence, obviously. So it's some kind of a, but that presence is not comfortable. That is the compromise, the price we pay. That's why after we sort of forget the primary me, we go into pure consciousness, and then from that place we try to integrate, and then finally we can recognize primary me with pure attention. So we are relieving primary me from the need to self-recognize, because we as pure consciousness are recognizing it. Brings a tremendous amount of freedom or relief to the primary me. It's already, he's being already transformed deeply. If you find, as you know, this is a common situation, that there is a conflict of identity between pure consciousness and primary me, you go back and forth, back and forth. It means that you are in wrong relationship with the primary me. It's actually not so much the fault of primary me, but you, as pure consciousness, how you relate to primary me, how you recognize it. So in such cases, you should ask yourself, am I recognizing primary me with pure attention? Am I feeling that it is me, as pure me, that is recognizing primary me? And if not, correct your practice. Of course, the conflict of identity can happen also on a very more basic level, such as the fact that the primary me becomes completely unconscious and is dominated by personality, is dominated by self-image, by self-consciousness in connection to others, and then we just forget pure consciousness. What is the remedy for this? That you at times allow yourself to become completely unconscious. The remedy is very simple. Respect your pure consciousness. Appreciate it deeper. Do not allow yourself to lose your soul. That is the remedy. then you will not, at least not so easily, lose yourself. Because you have too much to lose and hardly anything to gain. It's what's called, instead of win-win, it's lose-lose situation, because you lose in pure consciousness and you lose in primary me. So transformation of primary me begins, I would even say the most important element of it is the correct recognition of primary me. Pure attention will transform it. Primary me does not have to transform himself so much as rather allow to be transformed. What is the goal of the transformation? One is to transcend the conflict of identity with pure consciousness. It's obvious one. Yeah, there's also integration. The primary me needs to learn how to function in the world from pure consciousness, which is actually in reverse, because it is pure consciousness that is functioning in the world through primary me, via pure attention. Because that one that is participating in the world, not just in pure subjectivity, eventually should also be only pure attention. Pure attention sees the world, pure attention talks to people, pure attention is seeking for us to realize our human happiness, how much it is possible, and so forth. It's all pure attention eventually. There's no external attention at the end at all. External attention is animalistic attention that we have to eventually transcend. So that is one thing, that one goal of the transformation. But another even deeper goal is for the primary me to become unified with our soul and to become part of our soul. In fact, to be experienced as the soul. Primary me has to become the soul. When we realize soul only in pure me, as profound as it is still incomplete, because a big chunk of us is still missing. And separation between pure me and primary me is simply painful and disturbing. And this time I would like you to, as you feel primary me from pure consciousness with pure attention, and you must really feel that I, pure consciousness, am recognizing primary me in my eyes. Gently feel that center. And of course, continuously being one with pure consciousness. Becoming bigger, you expand into primary me. And now feel that center. Feel primary me. Feel that greatly important part of yourself, that which has been there always. You were born with this. When a child, baby, opens its eyes, what happens? Primary me, for the first time, begins to see the world. This is what happens. Very gently feeling primary me. And making sure the weight of your existence is in pure consciousness. So you do not move unskillfully into the front. Usually you see when you move unskillfully into the front, crystallizing primary me, what happens is that it's no longer pure attention that is recognizing primary me, but rather self-attention. And that center becomes over-intensified and stressed. Very unpleasant, in fact. You need to feel it as pleasant, lovingly and gently. And here is the next question for you. Who are you in primary me? Who is there? What is this me? What is this me really? You can say, oh, it's me. Me, the center of awareness and so forth. That's correct, but it's far, far from enough. You are just understanding that center from your mind. You need to feel. You need to dive with feeling into primary me to know it. And this will be the subject of the next coming retreat. Awakening, not just of primary me, but awakening of a deeper dimension that is hidden within the primary me. Our deepest, the most personal sense of self that is actually at the root of our existence, that is responsible for everything that we experience. The one who wants to exist, the one who is afraid of death, the one who want to experience love. The one who really wants to, longs to stop suffering so much. That one is hidden in the primary me. And who is that one? It is you, who you really are. It is your true self. And I call it simply ego. Ego is your true self. And the subject of the next retreat will be self-realization of ego, or realization of ego as our true self. Very important. Something unheard of, but it has come to us, that most amazing revelation of ego, which is you, because in the essence, you are ego. You've been taught to deny it. You're taught that ego is something negative, something bad. These are all lies. You've been lied to. It's time that you hear the truth. That your ego is the most precious part of you. Your ego is the child of the divine in you. But it is unaware of itself. It's a child that is lost. A child that does not remember who he is anymore. Living in that mind, in that personality. Not even knowing why living. Just knowing that it wants to live for reasons unknown. It's time that you meet that one. That you remember yourself. And nothing is more beautiful than this. Remembering that most intimate part of yourself that is at the root of everything in you, the base of your existence, the true experiencer of your human consciousness, and the true experiencer of divine consciousness too, your ego.